South African men are peacocks, you gotta let us fly. Now, whether it's a grand and palatial home or minute and quirky, the home is where the heart is. And our next Dulux home of the month, man, is it filled with a lot of heart and a lot of love. Take a look.
Being inspired by Eric and Geraldine's house, I actually decided to pop into a few second-hand stores and I found this beautiful chandelier. Hi, Bennum.
Hi, Mpho. Well, it really is a fantastic find. It's a beautiful piece, so well done on spotting that. Look, with the right product and the great preparation, you can turn anything old into something beautiful and striking. And we're going to use hammerite on this chandelier of yours. So, fantastic product. It's got everything you need all in one. So, it's got your primer, your undercoat, and your top coat. So I think we're going to do it in a really quick and easy fix.
Sounds great. Now, does hammerite come in red? Because that's one of my favorite colors.
It comes in a variety of great colors. We've got lots of nice golds and silvers, and it's got a hammered or smooth finish options. But we definitely do have red, so it's going to look great.
Okay, great. So where do we start?
Well, as you know, preparation is key for any paint item. So we have to make sure that it's free of dust. If there's any old paint on there, anything that needs to be wiped off and cleaned off first.
Okay, so the dust's off. Shall we paint?
Right, and we can use our hammerite direct to rust metal paint, and it's available in smooth red like you want it. So there we go. Just dab it a bit so it doesn't drip too much. We start applying our first coat on there.
This looks like fun. I actually want to help you, so I'm going to grab the other brush.
Right, we give you that. That's going on beautifully, look at that.
Now, is a brush the only thing you can use?
No, you can actually use a sponge roller, or it can even be sprayed on. But because this is such an intricate surface with lots of twists and turns here, it's better to use a brush to make sure that you do get to all those areas.
Bennum, do you have any tips on painting with a brush?
Well, I think it's important not to have too much paint on your brush and make sure that it's not too wet. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of drip and splattering.
With the right choice of paint, especially in such an eye-catching color, you don't need to be an expert to DIY. Transform old pieces into something fresh and striking.
There we go, Mpho. I think we're done with this one.
Perfect. Now, how long is it going to take before it dries?
It takes about an hour to touch dry, but if we want a more even, smoother finish, you can apply a second coat after about 2 hours.
I love it just as it is. I think the rustic red is beautiful.
I think it came out really, really well. Where do you want to hang this?
You know what? I've got just the spot for it.
Let's see it again. Start by sanding down the object you want to transform. Apply the first layer of hammerite and let it dry. A tip's to ask an electrician to connect your chandelier to electricity. Visit any Dulux stockist for more expert advice. Adding color to your morning with Espresso and Dulux.
Well, that chandelier was inspired by a beautiful yellow chandelier in our Dulux House of the Month. Let's see it in its setting.
A beautiful home is not necessarily described by the number of bedrooms it has or by its rolling lawns. In fact, sometimes it may be one that appears to be perfectly modest on the outside. But that's until you open its front doors. Today we're visiting jewelry designers Eric Lobsher and Geraldine Fenn to take a sneak peek into their home to find out what makes it our house of the month.
I'm fine, you.
Good, thank
Come
you.
inside.
Oh my goodness, I am absolutely stunned and surprised by the art and the color in your house. Is this the reaction you normally get from first-time visitors?
Yeah, this is kind of the reaction we usually get because we have a lot of little things, a lot of stuff hanging around, a lot of art on the wall. So usually the reaction is kind of a wow reaction, so yeah.
Speaking of art, I'm just drawn by that piece. It's so personal. Isn't that you and your wife?
Yes, it is. 2 pictures done by Conrad Boerters. We traded him for it because we're good friends and he needed something that we could give him. We wanted a Conrad Boerters very badly, so he did 2 pictures of us as a gift.
Every surface oozes the couple's contemporary wit and magpie's eye for wonderful collectibles. Geraldine has lived in the house for 12 years. Eric moved in 3 years ago. They share love for small, quirky details.
Now, you and your husband are both jewelry designers. What would you say is your approach to interior style?
Well, I think we both have a very strong sense of aesthetics, obviously both being designers. And the thing is, we just pick things that we really love. I think that's our only kind of rule. And the way we put it together is often quite eclectic. We often have very different pieces that we put together and it kind of works. So we like mixing very contemporary stuff with very old stuff. I've got some lovely old furniture that I inherited from my family, and I think that always works really well with super contemporary stuff. Most of our art is very contemporary, but here and there we also have a few pieces that are from family, and I think it all kind of works quite well together. We don't really believe in following any kind of rules. We just kind of go with our gut and put things together in a way that looks good to us.
When it comes to jewelry designing, your styles are quite unique. Would you say that the same difference in style appears when you're decorating your home?
Well, I think in terms of the jewelry that we make, we do have quite distinct styles, but they're also styles that work really well together. They kind of gel very nicely together, and they sit quite comfortably next to each other. So I think the same applies to the interiors. There's certain things that we both love, like a very cute kind of aesthetic.
We're not as different as most people think, you know, like we don't have this wildly, like I've got a very masculine aesthetic and she's got a very feminine aesthetic. Our aesthetics quite close to each other, so it actually gels quite nice.
Bold wall colors in the kitchen add an extra pop to the aesthetic of the house, making it feel friendly and inviting.
Hi Sonika. Hi Mpho. Now this house boasts an extensive collection of beautiful artworks. How restricted are we when choosing an optimal wall color?
Well, Mpho, you're quite correct. This house features a lot of beautiful collection of different art pieces. And in this instance, it might be better to rather have your wall act as a basic canvas to feature your different art. So what Geraldine and Eric has done here is they've chosen a pure grey, Night Jewels 5, to feature on their wall. What's nice about this grey is it allows you to interchange your art quite often, and it will still keep the space looking appealing and not too cluttered. It looks like they are quite adventurous, so they wanted to have the ceiling, people also look up and seeing something different. But a lot of the times when your ceiling is very high, you can paint it a slightly darker color than the wall color. This will make the ceiling feel slightly lower. A lot of people always just think about their walls, but your ceiling can actually act as quite a beautiful focal point in a room.
Other than the striking artwork, there's also another prominent feature here in the living room, and that's the contrast of the grey ceiling with this vibrant yellow chandelier.
Oh yes, I love this. It's absolutely beautiful. Like I said, you know, you don't always have to have your walls take center stage. You can actually have your ceiling, and what a beautiful way to display a piece of art like this. I mean, the chandelier is, in this instance, a beautiful piece of artwork that is complemented by the beautiful grey ceiling.
Well, Eric and Geraldine's home is the perfect example of how you can paint your walls and your ceilings in a way that creates depth in the space and also complements all your artistic collectibles. I think I'm going to steal an idea or two.